The marketplace was alive with strange voices. Neon lights blinked above tall buildings and alien machines moved on the dusty streets. The smell of smoke and oil filled the air. Everywhere eyes were watching. And somewhere in the middle of this chaos, 4 small children were hiding. They were inside a broken cargo pod, its metal walls rusted, its door half closed. Their breathing was heavy, their faces pale. They pressed their backs against each other, shivering. Outside, footsteps echoed closer and closer. "Find them," a voice roared. It was sharp, alien, and cruel. Dozens of bounty hunters moved across the street. Their armor shone under the lights, and strange weapons hung from their belts. One of them shouted again, his voice shaking the night. "Millions of credits for their heads! 4 human children. Bring them alive if you can, dead if you must." The children closed their eyes. They knew the hunters were near. They knew the reward made them more valuable than gold, more valuable than life itself. The smallest child whispered, her voice breaking, "Don't leave us, human. Please." Her words trembled in the air, and for a moment silence fell inside the pod. The others looked at her, fear in their eyes. She was not speaking to the hunters. She was speaking to someone else. Someone waiting in the shadows. And he heard her. A figure stood at the edge of the alley, hidden by smoke and shadow. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his face marked with scars. His eyes, dark and sharp, scanned the hunters. He carried no flag, no badge, no honor, only a broken rifle slung across his back and a knife in his hand. He was the last human on this planet, the last protector. His breath was slow, steady. He had lived through countless battles, seen worlds burn and watched friends die. But tonight was different. Tonight, 4 small lives depended on him. He remembered the promise. He had promised their parents that no matter what happened, no matter how many enemies came, he would not let the children die. The memory of that promise cut deeper than any blade. The hunters stopped near the cargo pod. Their scanners beeped, red lights flashing. One of them laughed. "They are close," he growled. "So close I can smell their fear." Inside the pod, the children clutched each other tighter. Their small hands trembled. The youngest began to cry softly, but the eldest pressed a hand over her mouth, whispering, "Quiet. Please quiet." The hunters raised their weapons. The air filled with danger. Any second they would rip open the pod and drag the children out. The scarred man in the alley gripped his knife tighter. He wanted to move, to strike, but he waited. He counted the hunters, 10 of them, armed and ready. Too many to face head-on. His heart pounded, but his face showed nothing. He whispered to himself, "Not yet. Wait for the moment." One hunter bent down, his claws scraping the pod's surface. "Open it," he ordered, metal screeched. The door began to tear open. The children gasped in horror. "Don't leave us, human." The youngest child cried again, louder this time. The hunter laughed. "They beg, but no one will save them." But he was wrong. The scarred man stepped forward from the shadows. His boots struck the ground with a heavy sound. The smoke around him swirled. The hunters froze, their eyes glowing red as they turned toward him. For the first time, the children saw him clearly. The human protector. His body was battered, his armor broken, but his presence was strong, like a wall against the storm. The hunters aimed their guns. The leader growled, "1 human against 10 hunters? Foolish. You will die tonight." The man's scarred lips curved into the faintest of smiles. His eyes narrowed, locked on the children. He gave a small nod as if to say, "I will not leave you." And then he spoke, his voice low but powerful. "Maybe I will die tonight, but not before I take you all with me." The hunters snarled, stepping closer. The children's eyes widened. The tension was heavy, like a blade ready to cut. The protector slowly raised his knife. The neon lights glinted off the steel. His free hand moved to the broken rifle on his back. The air shook with the promise of violence, and in that instant time itself seemed to stop. The hunters stood, their weapons ready. The children held their breath inside the pod, and the lone human, scarred and tired, prepared to fight against impossible odds. The marketplace grew silent. Even the machines seemed to pause, because everyone knew something deadly was about to begin. The air was heavy with smoke, and the marketplace still echoed with the hunters' voices. The lone human stood tall, his shadow stretching across the cracked ground. He looked like a ghost from another age, scarred face, broken armor, and tired eyes that had seen too much death. His name was forgotten by many, but to the children he was simply Protector, He had not always been a protector. Once he was a soldier in the great human wars. He had fought on burned planets, defended cities that no longer existed, and carried the weight of victories that felt like losses. His comrades had fallen one by one, their screams still haunting his nights. In the end, only he remained, a survivor wandering from world to world, searching for something worth saving. And then he found the children. They were fragile, small, and innocent. Yet something about them was different. Their eyes carried a strange glow, a spark of hope. Their parents had begged him, pleaded with him to keep them safe. And though he had no reason to fight anymore, he had agreed. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was duty. Or maybe deep down he still believed that humanity deserved a chance. Now, as the hunters closed in, he tightened his grip on the knife. His body ached from old wounds, his lungs burned from smoke, but his spirit refused to break. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, his skin covered in metallic scales, his mouth stretching into a cruel smile. "Human," he hissed, "you are alone. You cannot win. Hand over the children and maybe we will give you a quick death." The protector said nothing. He looked at the children, still huddled inside the broken cargo pod. Their wide eyes stared back at him, filled with fear and trust. That trust was heavier than any weapon. The protector finally spoke, his voice calm, almost cold. "I made a promise. You will not take them." The hunters laughed. Their voices echoed like broken machines. 10 against 1, their armor gleaming, their weapons humming with deadly energy. To them, this was not a fight, it was sport. But the protector did not move. Not yet. His eyes scanned the ground, the walls, every detail of the alley. He had survived because he was patient, because he waited for the right moment. He knew rushing forward would mean death, but a single mistake from the hunters could be his chance. Inside the pod, the eldest child whispered to the others, "He will not leave us. He never leaves." The youngest clutched a small locket around her neck, her lips trembling. "But he is just one man." The eldest answered softly, "One man can still stand between life and death." The hunters advanced. Their boots struck the ground like thunder. The protector slowly stepped back, his scarred hand brushing against the wall. He remembered battles where he had been the last soldier standing, where he had carried broken weapons and fought against impossible odds. This was no different, except now the stakes were higher. It was not about pride. It was not about war. It was about 4 small lives. One hunter raised his scanner, the red beam shining directly on the pod. "They are here," he shouted. The protector's heart hammered, his muscles tensed. Every second felt like a blade against his throat. Then came the sound, a sudden hiss of steam from a broken pipe above. The hunters glanced upward, distracted for a fraction of a second, and that was enough. The protector moved like lightning. His knife slashed across the nearest hunter's throat, sparks flying as metal armor cracked. The hunter screamed and collapsed. The others roared in anger, weapons blazing. Energy bolts tore through the air, burning holes in walls, smashing into the ground. The children screamed inside the pod, covering their ears. The protector dived behind a broken stall, bullets of plasma searing inches from his face. He fired his rifle, 3 shots, precise and deadly. Another hunter fell, but the odds were still against him. 8 remained, their rage boiling. The leader growled, "Kill him slow. Make him bleed." The protector's breath came heavy, but his mind stayed sharp. He whispered to himself, "Stay alive. Just stay alive long enough." Because he knew something the hunters did not. The children were not ordinary. They carried something inside them, something powerful, something the aliens feared and desired. He had seen hints of it before. The way their eyes glowed, the way wounds healed when they touched. He did not understand it fully, but he knew one thing. If they survived, humanity had a future. If they died, humanity was finished. The hunters closed in, step by step, their weapons flashing. The protector tightened his grip on the knife again. His body screamed in pain, but his spirit burned like fire. He was one man against an army, but he had no choice. The children pressed closer together, whispering in fear. "Don't leave us, human," they begged again. And with those words, something inside him hardened. His fear turned into steel. His weakness turned into strength. He rose from cover, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. "No," he whispered. "I will not leave you." And with that, he charged into the storm. The night was no longer silent. After the first clash, the marketplace had turned into chaos. Smoke rose from broken stalls. Glass shattered under heavy boots and the air burned with the sound of energy weapons. The Protector stood in the middle of it, his knife dripping, his rifle smoking, and his body bleeding. But there was no time to rest. The hunters were still alive. 8 of them, furious, their red eyes glowing like fire in the dark. They shouted to each other, their alien tongues sharp and violent. The reward for the children's heads was too great, millions of credits. They would not stop. Run! The Protector shouted at the children. The door of the broken cargo pod burst open and 4 small figures stumbled out. Their bare feet slapped against the cracked stone floor as they ran toward the narrow alleys. Fear pushed them forward, but trust kept them looking back at the human who guarded them. The hunters roared. Some chased the children. Others turned their weapons toward the Protector. Energy blasts cut through the air. Sparks exploded around him as walls cracked and stalls caught fire. The Protector ran after the children, blocking fire with broken crates, his rifle spitting back shots whenever he could. His heart pounded in his chest. He knew the truth. He could not fight them all here. If he stayed, they would all die. The only chance was to keep moving. The children darted into a narrow street, their small bodies slipping through gaps the hunters could not easily follow. Neon lights flickered above, casting strange shadows across their faces. The Protector followed close, his breath ragged, his knife clenched in one hand. Behind them, the hunters cursed and fired. Their heavy boots crashed against the ground, shaking the walls. One of them shouted, "Don't let them escape." Millions of credits. They belong to us. The chase began in full. The eldest child, a boy no older than 12, guided the others. His eyes scanned every corner, every turn. "This way," he shouted. He had grown up hiding, running. It was the only life he knew. The Protector kept pace, his muscles screaming, his old wounds burning. Yet he moved with the strength of a man who refused to break. Every time the children stumbled, he pushed them forward. Every time a hunter aimed, he raised his rifle and fired back. But the hunters were many and they were fast. A beam of energy smashed into the wall beside the youngest child. She screamed, falling to her knees. The Protector scooped her up with one arm, never stopping his run. Her small hands clutched his armor, her tears wetting his shoulder. "Don't cry," he told her, his voice harsh but steady. "I've got you." The alley grew tighter, the walls closing in. The children's footsteps echoed like drums, their breath sharp and frightened. Ahead, the street bent into a dead end, a towering wall of steel. The eldest child gasped. "We're trapped!" The hunters laughed behind them, their voices echoing through the smoke. One called out, "Nowhere left to run, human. Surrender the children and maybe we'll let you die quick." The Protector's eyes scanned the wall. His mind raced. Surrender was not an option. Not tonight. He saw it then. An old maintenance ladder bolted to the side of the wall, half rusted, half broken. It climbed high into the neon glow above. It was their only chance. "Climb," he ordered. The children obeyed at once. Their small hands clutched the metal rungs, their thin legs pushing upward. The Protector stood at the bottom, his knife and rifle ready, his body shielding them from the hunters' fire. The aliens advanced, their weapons glowing brighter. The leader raised his clawed hand. "Kill the human. Take the children." Energy bolts flew. The Protector ducked, returning fire. Sparks rained down like stars. The wall shook as blasts tore chunks of stone. Still, the children climbed higher, their small figures vanishing into the glow. One hunter leaped forward faster than the rest. His claws slashed toward the ladder, ready to tear it down. The Protector met him head-on. With a roar, he slammed the hunter against the wall, his knife plunging deep into alien flesh. The hunter screeched, collapsing. But in that moment, another shot struck the Protector's side. He stumbled, blood pouring down his armor. The eldest child looked down from above. His voice cracked in fear. "Protector, you're hurt." The human gritted his teeth. His vision blurred, but his voice stayed strong. "Keep climbing."
"Don't stop!"
The hunters closed in, their shadows stretching over him. He raised his rifle again, firing until the last charge burned out. Then he drew his knife, ready for close combat. His body shook, but his eyes were fire. One by one, the children reached the top of the wall. They looked down at him, their voices trembling. "Don't leave us, human," they cried again. The Protector gave them a faint smile, even as the hunters surrounded him. "I'll be right behind you," he whispered. But inside, he knew the truth. He might not survive the night. Still, he would fight, because the chase had only just begun. The wall shook with every blast. Dust rained down on the children as they climbed higher, their small hands gripping the rusted ladder. Above them was the promise of escape, but below their protector stood alone, bleeding, surrounded by hunters. The leader's voice thundered, "Kill the human! The children belong to us." 8 hunters closed in, their weapons glowing, their armor shining in the neon night. The protector's chest heaved with pain, his blood dripping onto the stone floor. His rifle was empty, his knife his only weapon. Yet his stance was unbroken, his scarred face hard as steel. The first hunter lunged. The protector spun, blade flashing. Metal cracked, flesh tore, and the alien collapsed with a scream. But another came from the side, claws slashing across his arm. Pain burned through him, but he did not fall. The children looked down, their voices trembling. "Protector, hurry, please!" He forced a grin through clenched teeth. "Climb, don't stop!" 3 hunters rushed together. Their energy blades sparked, their growls filled the alley. The protector fought like a cornered wolf. His knife carved arcs of silver light, blocking strikes, cutting deep. 1 hunter fell, his blood staining the ground. Another crashed against the wall, armor cracked. But the third struck hard, smashing a fist into the human's ribs. The protector staggered back, coughing blood. His vision blurred, but his fire did not fade. He raised the knife again. His body was failing, but his spirit refused to surrender. The leader sneered, stepping forward. "You fight well, human, but you are only flesh. And flesh breaks." The protector spat blood onto the ground. His voice was low, steady. "Maybe, but you will bleed before I do." The leader roared, raising his plasma spear. The weapon glowed bright, ready to end the human's life. Then it happened. From above, a small voice cried out, "Don't hurt him." The youngest child had stopped climbing. Her tiny hands glowed with faint light. Her eyes shone bright blue in the darkness. Energy pulsed around her, crackling like electricity. The protector froze. So did the hunters. The little girl stretched out her hand toward the battlefield. The air trembled. A wave of force exploded downward, invisible but powerful. It slammed into the hunters like a storm. They were thrown back, crashing into walls, their weapons scattering across the ground. Silence followed. The protector's eyes widened. He had seen glimpses before, small signs, strange healing, but never like this. The children were not ordinary. They carried something hidden inside them, something powerful. The hunters groaned, rising slowly. Their leader snarled, rage burning in his glowing eyes. "So it's true. The children carry the ancient blood." He turned his gaze upward, his voice filled with greed. "With them we can rule the galaxy." The protector's heart pounded. Now he understood why the bounty was so high, why entire worlds wanted these children. They were not just survivors. They were the future. The little girl's glow faded. She clung to the ladder, weak and trembling. The eldest boy grabbed her, pulling her upward. "Keep going!" he shouted. The protector tightened his grip on his knife. His wounds screamed, but he stood taller. He had more than a promise now, he had a purpose. These children were hope itself. And hope must live. The hunters regrouped, weapons raised again. Their leader snarled, "Kill the human! Take the children alive!" The protector charged before they could move. His knife slashed across another throat. His boot slammed into another's chest. He fought with the fury of a dying star, every strike desperate, every move precise. Energy bolts burned past him. One struck his leg, sending him crashing to his knees. Another grazed his shoulder, filling the air with the stench of scorched flesh. But he rose again. Blood dripped from his body. His breath came ragged, but his eyes blazed. He was more than a man. In that moment, he was a wall against the storm, the last shield of humanity. The children reached the top of the wall. They looked down at him, their voices shaking. "Protector, come up, please!" He smiled faintly, though his vision swam. "Keep running," he whispered. Then he turned to face the hunters again. The leader rushed forward, plasma spear raised high. The protector met him head-on. Steel clashed against energy, sparks lighting the night. The alley shook with the force of their battle. Every strike was pain, every breath was agony. But the human did not fall because he could not. Not while 4 small lives watched him from above. The hunters closed around him once more, their rage burning. The protector's knife dripped, his body swayed. But his spirit held firm. This was no longer just survival. This was war, and he would fight until his last breath. The wall loomed tall above the burning alley. The children huddled together at the top, their small faces glowing faintly under the neon lights. Below them, the protector fought like a storm, his knife flashing, his blood soaking the ground. But after the little girl's sudden burst of power, the hunters grew cautious. They no longer rushed blindly. They circled him, eyes fixed not just on the human, but on the children. The leader snarled, his voice echoing across the steel walls. So it is true. The last of the human experiments survived. The children of Saul. The words struck like a blade. The protector froze for a breath. He had heard rumors long ago, whispers in the war. A secret project hidden from the galaxy, scientists working in silence, desperate to give humanity a weapon strong enough to survive extinction. He never believed it. Until now, the children trembled at the mention of their name. The eldest boy's face hardened. His voice was small but defiant. Don't call us that. We are not weapons, the leader laughed, his fangs glinting. You are more than weapons, child. You are keys. Your blood carries the code of the ancients. With it, we can command worlds. With it, humanity can finally be broken. The protector's grip tightened on his knife. His mind raced, piecing fragments of memory. He remembered the strange glow in the children's eyes, the way their touch healed wounds, the pulse of energy when the little girl cried. These were not accidents. These were designs. And now the galaxy hunted them. The protector's voice cut through the smoke. They are only children. Leave them. The leader's gaze turned cold. No, human. They are the future. And futures are not left. They are taken. The hunters advanced again, weapons raised. The protector staggered back, his legs heavy, his chest burning. But he stood firm. The children's eyes followed him, wide with fear and trust. He could not let the hunters reach them. He had promised. Suddenly, the eldest child shouted down. His voice shook, but it carried strength. Protector, you don't understand. We were created. Our blood, it can heal. It can destroy. We don't know why. We don't know how, but everyone wants it. The protector's heart clenched. Created. Engineered. The last desperate hope of a dying human race. The little girl whispered softly, tears in her eyes. Our parents told us, if we survive, humanity survives. That's why they gave us to you. The protector felt the weight of their words crash into him. This was more than a promise now. This was the burden of an entire species. If the children lived, there was hope. If they died, humanity's story ended here in a dirty alley under alien skies. The hunters raised their weapons higher. The leader sneered. Then we take them alive. Imagine what millions of credits will buy. Imagine what power their blood will bring. The protector's mind raced. He was one man, broken and bleeding, against hunters who would never stop. But he had no choice. He looked up at the children, his voice rough but steady. Listen to me. You are not weapons. You are not credits. You are life. And as long as I breathe, no one will take you. The children's eyes filled with tears, but also something else. Courage. For the first time, they felt the truth of his words. He was not fighting because he had to. He was fighting because he believed in them. The hunters charged. The protector met them with a roar. His knife carved arcs of light, his fists struck like hammers. Every blow cost him blood, every step cost him pain. But he fought on, driven by more than survival. The eldest child clenched his fists, his eyes glowing faintly. He could feel it, the same power that burst from his sister. Something stirred in his blood, waiting to be unleashed. But fear held him back. The protector blocked another strike, his body buckling. He shouted upward, his voice cracking with fury and hope. You are not weak. You are not helpless. Whatever you are, it is yours. Use it. Live. The eldest boy trembled. His breath came sharp. And then something inside him broke open. A shockwave of energy pulsed from his chest, invisible but heavy. The hunters froze mid-step, their weapons trembling. The boy's eyes glowed brighter, his veins lighting under his skin. The children gasped. The protector's eyes widened. The leader snarled, struggling against the unseen force. Yes, that is the power. That is what we want. But the boy did not listen. His small voice thundered with sudden strength. You will not take us. The shockwave burst outward. Hunters flew backward, crashing into walls and stalls. Energy sparks filled the air. The protector shielded his face, his heart pounding. When the light faded, the alley was silent again. The hunters lay scattered, groaning. The leader rose slowly, fury blazing in his eyes. The protector looked up at the boy. His chest swelled with something he had not felt in years, hope. But he also knew the truth. The secret was out. The children were no longer just fugitives. They were targets, and the galaxy would never stop hunting them. The leader hissed, blood dripping from his mouth. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. Every hunter, every warlord, every empire will come for them. The protector tightened his grip on his knife. His voice was steady. Then let them come. I'll be waiting. The alley was quiet after the blast. Smoke curled into the neon sky, and broken hunters groaned where they lay. The protector leaned against the wall, his chest heaving, blood dripping from his wounds. His knife was dull now, its edge stained red. Above, the children climbed down from the wall, rushing to him. Their small hands reached for his arms, their eyes wide with worry. You're bleeding, the eldest boy whispered. The protector forced a grin. It's nothing. I've bled worse. But his legs shook and his vision swam. The little girl pressed her glowing hands against his side. Warmth spread through his body, dulling the pain. The wound closed, leaving only a scar. The protector stared at her, astonished. You healed me, she nodded shyly. I don't know how. It just happens. The protector touched her hair gently. Then don't ever doubt yourself again. What you have, it may save us all. The children smiled faintly. But their relief was short-lived. From the shadows, footsteps echoed, slow, confident, different from the hunters. The protector stiffened, raising his knife again. The children huddled behind him, their fear returning. A figure stepped into the light. He was tall, dressed in worn armor patched with scavenged pieces. His face was rough but not alien, human. His eyes burned with a cold fire, but his smile was warm, almost friendly. Easy, he said, raising his hands. I'm not here to harm you. The protector narrowed his eyes. His voice was low, suspicious. Who are you? The man chuckled softly. A friend. Or at least I was once. Don't you recognize me, brother? The protector froze. A memory stirred in his mind. A battlefield long ago. A comrade standing at his side, laughing even as the world burned. A soldier who vanished after the war. Kale. The protector's voice cracked with disbelief. The man smiled wider. So you do remember. The children looked between them, confused. Protector. You know him? The protector's knife wavered. His voice was heavy. We fought together once. Kale stepped closer, his eyes soft. I saw the fight. You stood alone against 10 hunters. That's the man I remember. Always the shield. Always the fool. The protector frowned. Why are you here? Kale's smile turned sharp. Because I heard the stories. 4 children. Human children. Worth more than gold. Worth millions of credits. The protector's heart sank. His knife rose again. Stay away from them. Cal raised his hands again, calm. Relax, I'm not like the hunters. I won't kill them. I'll protect them, just like you. But think about it, brother. All those credits. With that money, we could build something. Buy a ship, build an army, take back what we lost. Humanity could rise again. The protector's jaw tightened. By selling children? By selling our future? Cale's smile faded, his eyes cold now. Don't be naive. The galaxy doesn't care about honor. The galaxy cares about power. And these children are power. The eldest boy clung to the protector's arm, his voice trembling. Don't trust him. The protector's grip tightened on his knife. His heart ached. This was no longer just a comrade from the past. This was a man poisoned by greed, by survival twisted into selfishness. Kyle stepped closer, his voice softer now, almost pleading. I don't want to hurt you, but if you stand in my way, I will. Hand them over and we can both walk away rich. The protector's face hardened. His voice was steel. I'd rather die than betray them. For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. 2 humans, survivors of the same war, now standing on opposite sides. Then Kale's smile twisted into something cruel. So be it, he whistled sharply. From the shadows, more figures appeared. Not hunters. Mercenaries. Humans, aliens, all armed and armored, their weapons gleaming in the neon light. The children gasped, clutching each other tighter. The protector stepped forward, knife raised, his body a shield once again. Kale's voice was cold as iron. You're outnumbered, brother. You can't win. Don't be foolish. The protector's eyes narrowed. I've been outnumbered my whole life. Kale sighed, almost sad. Then you'll die like the rest. The mercenaries moved in, surrounding them. The children cried softly, their small voices breaking. Don't leave us, human. The protector's heart pounded. He stood firm, though every bone in his body screamed with pain. His knife gleamed faintly under the lights. Kale's voice cut the silence. This is your last chance. Give me the children. Don't make me kill you. The protector's answer came like a blade. Over my dead body, the circle of mercenaries tightened. The children held their breath. The protector braced himself for the storm. And in that tense, breathless moment, the betrayal was complete. The children were no longer hunted only by strangers. Now, even an old friend had become their enemy. The alley shook with heavy footsteps. Kale's mercenaries formed a circle, their weapons glowing in the dark. The children huddled together, eyes wide, breath sharp. The protector stood in front of them, knife in hand, blood dripping from his side. Kale watched with cold eyes. Once a comrade, now a stranger. Don't fight, brother, he said softly. Lay down your blade. Give me the children. This doesn't have to end with your death. The protector's jaw tightened. His body trembled from pain, but his voice was unshaken. You already ended our brotherhood when you put a price on their heads. Kale sighed, almost sad. Then so be it. He raised his hand. Take them. The mercenaries moved as one, weapons humming, shadows stretching across the walls. The children whimpered, clutching each other tighter. Their small voices broke through the chaos. Don't leave us, human. And with those words, the protector found new strength. He roared and lunged forward, his knife slashing through the first mercenary's throat. Sparks and blood flew. He spun, grabbed another's weapon, and fired into the crowd. The blast tore through armor, scattering bodies. The circle broke for a moment. But more mercenaries pushed in, their blades flashing. The protector fought like a beast cornered. Every strike was fueled by fury, every movement by desperation. His blade danced, carving arcs of light in the smoke. But he was only one man, and the enemy was many. A spear pierced his shoulder. He cried out but did not fall. A plasma bolt burned his leg. He stumbled but kept swinging. His body was breaking, but his will was iron. The children screamed above the clash. Tears streamed down their faces as they watched him fight. The eldest shouted, his voice cracking, "Protector! You can't fight them all." The protector's answer was a growl, his knife sinking into another mercenary. I don't need to fight them all. I just need to keep you safe. But even as he spoke, Kyle stepped forward. His weapon gleamed, a long blade of glowing steel, forged for killing men like him. Kale's eyes were empty. You can't win, brother. You never could. The protector raised his knife, his breath heavy. Maybe not. But I'll make sure you don't win either. They clashed. Steel screamed against steel, sparks raining down. Kale's strikes were fast, ruthless. The protector blocked, countered, each movement costing him blood. They fought like two ghosts of the same past. Brothers once, enemies now. Kale struck hard, his blade cutting across the protector's chest. The human staggered, coughing blood, but still he stood. You're a fool, Kale hissed. Always protecting the weak. Always wasting your strength. The protector's eyes blazed. They are not weak. They are the future. With a roar, he shoved Kale back. For a moment, Kale faltered. But then his mercenaries surged forward, overwhelming the human. Blades slashed. Blasts burned. The protector fell to one knee, his blood staining the ground. His knife dropped from his hand. The children screamed, "Don't leave us, human." Tears blurred their vision. Fear crushed their hearts, but then something changed. Their fear turned into fire. The eldest boy clenched his fists, glowing veins running up his arms. The youngest girl's eyes burned blue. The twins held hands, their bodies trembling with light. Together they unleashed it. A wave of raw energy exploded outward, shaking the walls, cracking the ground. The mercenaries were thrown like ragdolls, their weapons shattering. Even Kale staggered, his blade snapping in two. The neon lights flickered, then shattered. The whole alley glowed with the children's power. The protector raised his head weakly, his eyes widening at the sight. The children stood tall now, no longer trembling. Their small bodies glowed with ancient fire, their voices like thunder. "We will not be taken," they said together. Kale shielded his face, his eyes filled with both awe and greed. Yeah, that power. That's what the galaxy will kill for. But the children ignored him. Their energy grew brighter, spreading across the alley like dawn breaking the night. The mercenaries screamed as the force hurled them into walls, crushing armor, breaking bones. The hunters who had survived earlier fled into the shadows, their courage broken. The protector tried to rise, but his body failed. He fell back against the wall, blood dripping from his lips. He smiled faintly. You did it. You finally believed. The children turned to him, their glow softening, their eyes filled with tears. Protector, don't die. He closed his eyes, his voice weak but steady. As long as you live, humanity lives. Kale staggered back to his feet, rage burning. His broken blade trembled in his hand. No, they belong to me. Do you hear me? To me. The eldest boy raised his glowing hand. The air pulsed. Kale froze mid-step. His body lifted from the ground by invisible force. His eyes widened with shock. Children, the protector rasped, his voice barely a whisper. Don't kill him. You are more than weapons. The boy trembled, his glowing hand shaking. The energy crackled, ready to tear Kyle apart. But at the protector's words, he let out a sharp breath and released him. Kale dropped hard to the ground, broken but alive. He crawled away, his eyes burning with hate. This isn't over, he spat. Every empire will come for you. Every hunter. Every god. You cannot hide. The protector's vision blurred. The children rushed to his side, holding his hands, their small voices breaking with sobs. Don't leave us, human. His eyes closed, his breath slowing. For a moment it seemed the darkness would take him. Then the children placed their glowing hands on his chest. Light surged into him, filling his broken body. His wounds closed, his breath steadied. His eyes opened slowly, weak but alive. He looked at them with wonder. You saved me. The eldest boy nodded, tears streaming. You saved us first. The protector smiled faintly, though pain still lined his face. He whispered, this is only the beginning. And above them, in the neon sky, ships began to descend. More hunters, more enemies. Answering the call of greed, the children held him tighter, their glow brightening again. The protector's voice was steady, defiant. Let them come. The screen faded to black.